don't park at the Indianapolis airport parking lot. Don't. Just don't. This all happened to me in the last few minutes, and I'm writing this out as I've already dialed 911 and received no answer. I landed at Indy International after visiting relatives for the holidays, and went through the drudging process of collecting my things and making my way through the building. I put my headphones in and started walking towards the economy parking lot, focusing on my phone as to avoid potential stop talkers. You know, the ones that stop you to talk for no reason. Making it out the first door was where I should have noticed the first odd anomaly, but I'll get to that. Still focused on my phone, I tripped over a large object that I didn't quite notice until it was too late. Falling face first on the pavement, I collected myself and looked at what I tripped over. It was a suitcase, multiple as a matter of fact. I took my headphones out of my ears and looked around, suitcases and luggage everywhere. And that's when I noticed it. What I should have noticed the moment I stepped out of the airport exit. Silence. Complete, utter silence. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where there is absolutely no noise, but it's terrifying. Just you, there with nothing more than your internal monologue. I felt as though I could hear my heartbeat and the blood that was coursing through my body. I frantically looked around to see if anyone else was experiencing what I was. The third strange anomaly. Not a soul in sight. Not even so much as a car in the pickup lane. I ran back into the airport to find it completely empty. A building that was just bustling with busy bodies and noise. Empty. Just empty. Panic and terror washed over me in waves. I had no idea what was going on, or what I should do. I turned on my heel and ran. I made it to the parking lot and started searching for my car, slamming the alarm button on my key fob, frantically hoping for a quick find, and just hoping to be able to hear something, anything, at this point. I needed a tether to reality. I heard beeping a few sections over from where I stood. As odd as it is, I felt relieved hearing the sound of my car's panic alarm, crying out into the void of sound. If only I knew. I never would have made a single noise. If only I knew. I ran towards the source of the sound, and saw the back end of my car flashing red from the rear lights. I turned the alarm off and started walking, trying to rationalize what was going on. That's when I heard it. A bellow. It sounded off a low hum that vibrated in my chest, and grew louder, and grew and grew. The bellow had turned into a thunderous roar that rattled throughout my body. I didn't even realize it at this point, but I was brought to my knees, covering my ears like a child hearing a siren. The scream ended and silence returned, leaving a violent ringing in my ears that sounded like a gun that had been fired right beside my ears simultaneously. I looked around as I couldn't even tell from where the bellow came. It felt as if it was all around me. At the end of the line of cars, I saw it. A primal fear washed over me as I stared at this massive being. No, being is too kind of a description. This creature. It was on all fours like a dog, but looked nothing like anything I've ever seen. Its limbs were as long as the cars it was near, if not longer. Its body was a hulking mass of black that seemed to be morphing and shifting. Its facial features were extremely distinct. A nose that resembled that of a skull. Just 2 holes. Mouth, a massive gaping maw, with dagger-like teeth that came together like a puzzle. Eyes? Nothing. Just 2 sunken sockets. And my god, its size. A sailboat would pale in comparison to this thing. I took a step back and stumbled on a rock, and fell flat on my butt, letting out an audible gasp. I looked up quickly to find it, looking directly at me despite the lack of eyes. It screamed another scream and launched off a car, sending it flying backwards. I scrambled towards the row of cars and started crawling underneath. It picked up the car I first crawled under and threw it as if it were a pebble in a fish tank. I could hear this thing sniffing, searching for me. I could see the limbs as it flipped car after car, screeching with each one he threw. I crawled across the section of cars and tried to find a safe place to hide. Its weakness was its lack of eyes clearly, or it would have spotted me already. I stood up as slowly as I could, peering into windows as I crept slowly away from where the thing was ramping. I found what I was looking for, a car visibly unlocked as I could see a manual lock in an upright position. Thank God for old cars and trusting people. The car flipping had stopped. I peered over the vehicle to find its face mushed against the parking lot, making loud, sniffing sounds. It had locked onto my scent and was moseying its way towards where I was, sniffing the entire way like a hound dog. The only thing that came to my mind was noise. I need to make noise. I searched frantically for the newest car I could find, and found what I was looking for a few cars down the line. I prayed with all my heart that this would work. I crept towards it, and I climbed to the top of the cab of the car. I braced myself and jumped, slamming my butt as hard as I could onto the hood. This next part happened so fast. Honestly, I'm amazed it worked as well as it did. The alarm rang out. I slid down the hood and dove for the belly of the car to my left as I heard a screech and cars being violently shoved aside, making its way towards the alarm. I made it to the old car and jumped in the back seat and shut the door as quietly and as quickly as I could manage, with fear coursing through me. The alarm stopped. Well, it didn't so much as stop, as it slowly faded out as it flew away from the parking lot. I looked around quickly for something to cover the window up. Using shirts I found in the back seat, I slowly cranked down each window and put the shirts in the window and rolled them back up to make a curtain of sorts, my heart pounding in my throat. Here I sit, writing this to you, strangers on the internet, as I have no idea what else I can do. Calling 911 doesn't do anything, doesn't even ring. I heard stomping outside of the car and peered out just moments ago. It's morphing and shifting body. Faces. It looked like faces trying to rip free from a trash bag. Each of the faces frozen in a state of horror and screaming. It has my scent. It's only a matter of time. I either wait here for it to get me, or I starve to death sitting here. If anyone knows anything about this creature, or anything I can do, please, anything, please. I don't want to die here. I don't want to become another face trapped in its body. Help me.